A very good evening. Welcome to the India Development Debate. I'm Tamanna Inabmdar. Over the last few years, Reliance Industries' annual AGM has become an event that everyone watches out for, even though it's essentially addressed to shareholders. Now, why is that? And why should the AGM of this company make top headlines across India and the world as well? Well, once again, it's because it's a company that plans big and disrupts the space in which it sets its eyes on. We saw that over the last few years when Reliance Industries took a huge plunge into telecom with Jio. We saw that last year when a big decision was made to come to a zero net debt situation, which they have managed to do with massive investments. And today, Mukesh Ambani at the company's 43rd AGM unveiled a plan that is ambitious by any and every measure. So essentially, Jio wants to create your handset, a 5G enabled handset with the help of Google, an operating system that works on it, a 5G network for itself and the country, and possibly to export itself. It wants to create software and tech which will enable you to shop, which will enable you to consume entertainment, which will aid in education, which will aid in health, pretty much every part of your digital life. The announcement will of course take time to come to fruition. These are goals that have been set here, but we have seen the capability of this company to go ahead with its plan in a very aggressive fashion, which disrupts the space it's in. So today on top of the show, we're going to discuss what some of those plans are, how ambitious they are, where the challenges are. But before we begin, let's just listen in to the key highlights of some of the announcements made today.
Jio has designed and developed a complete 5G solution from scratch. This will enable us to launch a world-class 5G service in India using 100% homegrown technology and solution. This made in India 5G solution will be ready for trials as soon as 5G spectrum is available and can be ready for field deployment next year. And because of Jio's converged all IP network architecture, we can easily upgrade our 4G network to 5G. Let me welcome Google to be our strategic partner in Jio platforms. Today, we have signed a binding partnership and an investment agreement with Google, under which Google will invest 33,737 crores for a 7.7% stake in Jio platforms. We believe we can design an entry-level 4G or even a 5G smartphone for a fraction of its current cost. But to power such a value-engineered smartphone, we also need an equally value-engineered smartphone operating system, and such an operating system must be designed with India in mind. Google and Jio are partnering to build an Android-based smartphone operating system. Through this partnership, we are confident that we can accelerate the national mission of putting a smart device in the hands of every Indian. As India is standing at the doorsteps of the 5G era, we should accelerate the migration of 350 million Indians who currently use a 2G feature phone to an affordable smartphone. I believe that there is no better partner for Indian startups than Jio. We are well positioned to help Indian startups in a number of ways, whether it be in technology development, product development, distribution market access, or even scale-up capital. We will also strengthen our collaboration with more entrepreneurs, brands, and businesses. This seamless connection will provide a huge boost to India's consumption, which in turn will strengthen India's existing manufacturing capacity as well as enable new startups.
All right, there was much more that was announced. The futuristic looking Geo Glass, which will connect to your phone and allow you to conduct meetings or attend classes. People can appear in hologram, etc. The huge retail plan. So what really is the picture that's developing here? Helping us make sense of all of it today is Sanjay Kapoor, former CEO of Bharti, Airtel and former chairman of Micromax. Ganesh, founder of the GrowthStory, is on this show today. I'm also speaking with Tarun Pathak, associate director at Counterpoint Research, and Rehan, managing partner at Orios Venture Partners. Welcome to all of you and great to have you on the show. Sanjay, you want to start off the bat with what you make of this? Which are the companies or the huge entities that are thinking tonight, how is this going to impact us? Is there even any kind of a similar business model in the world that you can think of? One company that wants to do everything?
Tamanna, good evening. Yes, you raised a very pertinent question, and readily there is no direct answer to is there another company which is doing something like this in reality, and there is no tangibility around it. But if you were to look at the wish list of a successful telco in any part of the world, they would ideally like to do all this. They would not want to be a dumb pipe, but they would want to be somebody who provides digital services and content and actually provides use cases around all facets of life, daily life and professional life to actually transform their business model. Fortunately, unfortunately, there's an OTT play that really took over that space and has dominated the world. So whether it's a Google or a Facebook or a WhatsApp, and there are many others who actually took away that space. So obviously, many operators across the globe started then collaborating with these guys and not sharely competing with them. And therefore, a lot of marriages have been seen. But I think after a very long time, any operator has been able to really bring in investments from these large strategic partners. And therefore, it clearly seems that India has come of age on attraction index with all these guys, and they buy a digital story of India where they wish to invest. However, at one end, it creates a lot of concern for the other operators who've not been able to attract such like partnerships and investments. But it also, opens up opportunities for them, because I don't believe that it all ends here. Actually, it begins here. And with these guys coming in, there'll be many more OTT players across the globe, content providers who would walk into the country, and everybody is not going to invest in Jio. So they will have alternates. Some will ally with Airtel, some will ally with Vodafone, some others might even go to BSNL, MTNL. But India will definitely be a destination which will see a lot of partnerships. The complexity of this is that on one end, it's a great news that you have Facebook, Azure, Microsoft, and Google all in the same tent. On the other side, these are not exclusive partnerships. They are going to be working, to the best of my understanding, with everybody else in the marketplace, because they are not walled garden in their approach. And the second thing is they're also fiercely compete with each other. Google Pay is going to compete with WhatsApp Pay. Google Cloud is going to compete with Azure Cloud. And on one side, they'll be collaborating with a common partner. On the other side, they'll be fiercely competing with each other. So I think story up to now, definitely hats off to Reliance for having put all this together. The more arduous task starts now to monetize the digital revenues, which the world has not been successfully able to do. And then to add the complexity of manufacturing along with it, I don't know actually what does 5G platform mean, or a 5G stack mean. Does it mean a OSS, BSS stack? Does it mean an application stack? Does it mean an integration of content and other digital services? So I don't understand that fully. It's very difficult to cover that up. But if it is anything like, what Huawei or Ericsson or Nokia does, then the game is very different. I mean, it's like Indigo saying, I'll manufacture my own aircrafts. and that sort of a model doesn't happen. And you can't be competing with the same guys in the market and selling them infrastructure, at the same time. So I think that's another complex environment.
Yeah.
And if you really look at the models of Ericsson and Nokia across the globe, they may not be making money out of their boxes. They might be making money out of their
Yes.
services that they provide, the managed services. So that's a different ball game. It's a B2B ball game.
Right.
But all said and done, India is now the center of attraction. And hats off to Jio to have pulled all these. The arduous task of generating revenue starts.
Is it India or is it Jio? 1 minute. I want to just Sanjay. We'll keep it quick and pacey so we get everyone in and get a conversation going. Is it India or is it Jio and the track record of Reliance to pull off these audacious projects that is attracting all of these partners? Ganesh, how do you break it down? Because think about what is happening today. You're saying that there's this one service provider, this one company that wants to do everything. It wants to be an alternative to a Zoom. It wants to be an alternative to your next ed tech startup. It's an alternative to the company that's making your phone. It's an alternative to your devices which are enabling OTT platforms, to everything. So if this is going to potentially disrupt a very large space.
Yeah, so clearly this is audacious. If 4 months back you had told me either about the size of the investment, the kind of investors or / partners, strategic investors they have been able to attract, or just the valuation, I would not have believed it. So it is audacious, it is astounding, and notwithstanding COVID, pandemic and all that stuff, it's super impressive. But if you break it down, really what is happening is because of the telecom infrastructure, they have been working diligently on trying to build various services on top of the pipe, like what Sanjay referred to as the pipe. They have been trying to build that. So it is not very surprising that this has come about. Obviously, trying to do all of it is a natural extension, except for the portion on the full stack 5G, whether it involves hardware, whether it involves manufacturing, whether it involves, that's slightly outside the box. But other than that, I think it's pretty much a logical extension, audacious definitely. But what's important is it's very good news for the startup ecosystem. It is good for almost whole of the startup ecosystem, because this digital infrastructure that they have managed to create, they already did that with low-cost internet access across the breadth of India, with low-cost feature phones, with some of the smartphone-like features. Now they're talking about a new India-specific smartphone in collaboration with Android to be able to have hundreds of millions of people access the apps through the smartphone. All of that creates a digital infrastructure. We have always lacked on the physical infrastructure, but now we are leapfrogging with low-cost, affordable India infrastructure for the masses. What this does is it helps the other startup players develop products, services, applications on this infrastructure. Almost think of it like earlier days when the roads, electricity, power, and water came about, how trade and commerce flourished. The same thing is happening to internet product and services. That's one real big good news. Two, the world is aligning towards certain platforms. Whether in China you see Tencent, Alibaba, or even India, whether you see Flipkart ecosystem, a Paytm ecosystem, or an Amazon ecosystem. This is a Jio ecosystem that's getting created. Now, some players who are competing with them will feel the pressure because of the size of the funding, because of size of ambition, the discounting strategy that they use. But if you keep those players aside, for most of the other players, whether it's startups, entrepreneurs, founders, or consumers, such infrastructure with huge investment being created is very positive news. If I want to start tomorrow a D2C brand, if I want to be an entrepreneur trying to do something, I can readily plug into this ecosystem. Now, there is a flip side to such plugging in, because the economic value gets shared, economic value can captured by somebody, and if they decide to be a monopoly and follow monopolistic rules, they may capture disproportionate value. And we have seen this from mobile service providers when the value-added services industry came up. Initially, it was very attractive, but then the mobile operators started capturing all the value.
Rehan Yarkhan, yes. Rehan Yarkhan, do you agree? Do you agree that this is good news for the startup space, and it will be only your huge big players which will be threatened by this Jio ecosystem? It can, really anything else survive when such a huge behemoth comes into play? How do you look at it?
I think for me, the big takeaway there is this whole 5G platform that they have claimed today that they've put together, right? I think that's absolutely huge. I think there's a lot of question in the minds of people that with telcos facing such large losses, would they be able to bring 5G to India? Now, if this company, if Reliance has truly gone ahead and developed 5G, right? And there are, of course, like Sanjay expressed, some question marks around that. But let's assume for a minute that they have actually gone and developed 5G, which means fifth generation telecom services. That could be very, very interesting, because what that means is that India will be able to move to the next level of connectivity very, very rapidly, right? And what does 5G mean, right? So 5G means that, I mean, so far you've had voice, video, but you also have these billions of devices that require connection. It provides faster connectivity. It provides smarter connectivity to them. And like Ganesh said, if they are able to provide this 5G platform, as they have claimed, it will enable a whole plethora of services to be built on top of that, which will be extremely good news for the country, right? So I think I'm very kicked about it if they can truly pull this off.
Right. Tarun Pathak, where are the challenges? Where are the challenges? And important again to note here that 5G will come into play when the whole policy around it is unveiled. There are a lot of blanks to fill till now on exactly what they will do. The rest, as has been said on the show, is an extension of what they were anyway planning. But what, according to you, are the real challenges of sort of realizing this dream to be everything to everyone when it comes to a digital product?
Right. So, yeah, thanks for your question. So basically, if you look at India is a very, very diverse market. I'll say it has shades of some emerging markets, but at the same time, the cities like Delhi, Mumbai also exhibits nature of some developed markets as well. So there will be challenges for sure. I can see some of the biggest challenge is to look for the use cases which will come in the 5G era, because India will have its own kind of use cases. And you can truly leverage it if you understand the country better. And I think for Jio, it's going to be a perfect fit, because if you look at right now, the fixed broadband penetration in country has been very limited. So that can be a big use case in that area. Healthcare, education, big areas likely to be disrupted. And Jio for now, until now, has been largely about consumers, right? Going forward, when 5G kicks in, this is a technology which will not be limited to the consumer side of things. It will be more enterprise. It will be more related to the industries. So that is where the real challenge comes. So for example, we have seen a very good use case of Jio glasses today, right? But when is the time when we can see like majority of the consumers adopting these kind of products in India, and the awareness, the related awareness? So that is the kind of challenge which I can see for Jio, is to take all the users together for the next 5 to 10 years down the line. So you can relate it. Jio has already tried with entry-level smartphones with the life branded devices, but that was not a commercial success, and they pivot to a different strategy at that time. And now they are redoing it with Google to make sure that integration of the hardware and the software fits in for the entry-level users. So that can be a big challenge, because if you look at right now, the installed base of 2G users, which is again close to 350 million, the overall dynamics of this kind of user is very, very different, because they are not shifting to smartphones because of just one or two reasons. There are underlying like 20, 30 different reasons. Digital illiteracy, I can say, is one of the big reason. Then the cost of the devices, the availability, even the familiarity, because they have been very
Yeah.
adapt with their feature phone form factor. So there will be challenges for sure. But like I said, when you are running an operation of this size, I won't see it as a disruption, but it will create a big opportunities along the way, because some of these challenges can be leveraged by underlying
And
startups in
perhaps
India.
it's also a bit of a, K. Ganesh, if you want to quickly come in, perhaps it's also a bit of a paradigm shift. It's a bet on what the future will look like post coronavirus. It's a bet also in a sense that things are never going to go back to how they were, say, even in January of 2020. There will be more work from home, there will be more remote schooling, and there will be a faster adoption of technology at all price points.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a Reliance Jio and Mukesh Ambani perspective, this COVID and virus has catapulted them right into center stage. If I'm not mistaken, 39 times Reliance in the AGM, the word startup was mentioned. Okay, more than 30 times the word platform was mentioned. This, if you expect from a petrochemicals company, okay, right, is unexpected in the AGM. So the entire thing, I'm not saying just from the point of view of positioning or for the tech valuations, but the fact is the future is in digital, okay, right? And the pandemic has actually accelerated that and focused it on that. And Reliance, because of what they have done over the last 10 years, Geo is positioned to be able to capture it. So clearly we are seeing that. And on the offline side, traditional brick and mortar, enclosed spaces, whether it is restaurant with in-room dining, whether it's Raj retail stores, air-conditioned stores in enclosed spaces, how they are going to face the challenge of getting consumers back. All of that is a big question mark. In that, anything to do with digital, anything that shifts from a central real estate infrastructure to online and a hybrid method is going to be a winner. We have seen that in terms of the stocks of companies like Amazon, e-commerce, both in India and outside. We have seen that in businesses of companies like Big Basket, Flipkart, Amazon in India too. We have seen in Zoom stocks, each one of that which involves digital and online delivery is booming. And fortunately for Reliance Jio, they are in the right place at the right time. So this is really is the future, and that is reflected in the AGM and the pronouncement and the astounding valuation and the kind of partners. What really I would like to add is this partnership also means a great thing for Indian consumers and entrepreneurs, because trying to do Atmanirbhar right from scratch and developing an equivalent of WhatsApp, equivalent of Android and all is very difficult. But with this strategic investment, though it is not exclusive, though they will work with other partners too, Jio has got access to latest technology and can start from there and then improvise, localize, fine-tune it for the Indian market, which is great for the Indian consumer to get latest products fine-tuned and localized to Indian requirement. Entrepreneurs can do a great job. Startup can do a great job because they have said collaborating with startup. We can look at M&A acquisitions of startups which are started in India by Reliance Jio. The scale and size of Jio ensures that they will not like to build everything on their own. They will take the M&A route in future. So overall, disruption, digital transformation, great news for startups and for consumers.
What happens to the Walmarts, the Amazons, the Airtels, the Vodafones? Sanjay Kapoor, you said that there would be some investments coming their way, not everything will be sucked in by Jio, but we've seen with the telecom experience that the Jio juggernaut has left its competitors gasping for breath in that space. Do you think it's too wide a spectrum to have a similar effect this time around?
So Tamanna, we can't paint the entire canvas with one brush. I can comment on the telcos to begin with. Airtel fortunately raised about $6 billion before Jio started raising this round of capital. So I think they have got enough on their balance sheet to make sure that they can fund their growth going forward and stay competitive. And they have stayed competitive. It clearly seems like a two-horse race now, with obviously Reliance being at a vantage point because they are absolutely debt-free from a net debt perspective, and they can fund their growth going forward. But I think given Airtel and its assets, it can deleverage a little bit and again leverage themselves for growth if required. So I think they are okay. The problem is with the third operator, who's going to find it tough even after the AGR verdict to find a sustainable business case with the size of balance sheet that they have and the sort of funding that's required to stay competitive in the market. And of course, the state incumbents, I've always been doubtful about their business continuity. Even if government pumps in money, I don't know how competitive they will be to make a difference to the telecom ecosystem. So clearly, it's a two-horse race. And I do believe that like Jio has got the top-notch names with it, Airtel will be able to attract some great partners. And that will be because of the India story as well, and Airtel story along with it, to say one of the two survivors, and that'll happen. As far as Walmarts of the world are concerned and Amazons of the world are concerned, I think they are very large companies also. I think they are very well funded. They are not going to be short of funds, and they have been in the game much before Jio came in. So Jio is the challenger here. They've made a good deal out of being a challenger in the telecom. Let's see how they fare on the e-commerce platform. Of course, their ideas and their ambitions are disruptive, and they are very ambitious in what they want to do. But let's see, because to really see somebody as a single telecom player in the market, service provider, actually being in all facets of digital delivery and being the number one is something that is not proven as yet. Although, like I said, they have the best partnerships, they are well funded, they are in the right position to do it. But let's wait and let's not jump to any conclusions. I think the digital space is such that winner takes it all will not be the formula. Multiple people will survive. It's not that a very long tail will survive, but top few in every vertical will have a business case and sustenance going forward.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting journey to see. And definitely what it means for consumers will be the big question. A big move like this changes the rules of the game for everyone involved, and it also marks one thing very clearly: there's no going back. The work from homes, the remote learning, the telemedicine is here to stay in one form or the other. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us today on the First Big Story. Well, we'll take a very short break at this point. When we come back, we have an exclusive interview with Toyota Kirloskar boss Vikram Kirloskar. He's talking about how he's managing COVID-19 at his Karnataka plant and what these mini lockdowns mean for the auto sector. Stay tuned.